So excited that I am here today with a very special lady. This lady that you are looking at, Irina Lotvin, is a trained artist. She has a master's degree in classical Chinese medicine, and she has now stepped into the world of holistic health coaching. Welcome, Irina. I am so excited that you are here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's so nice to meet you here in the virtual world of us healing professions coming together to change the world.
Here we are in the middle of some very interesting energy over the past year. And truly, we know our place in this universe more than ever as holistic practitioners. Would you agree with that?
Yes, totally. The vibration of this earth finally shook us all and giving us the power to change our lives, our health, and our planet.
So let me ask you a big question just as we begin. And the question is, what led you from practicing classical Chinese medicine into practicing as a holistic health coach? Why aren't you practicing classical Chinese medicine?
Well, of course, as we all have had this wonderful experience with having the COVID-19 happen last year, 2020, it took me on a different journey. And it's how usually we know life happens. The universe opens doors for us to expand. And as the whole world is expanding, I decided to expand with it. And part of it, what happened in my particular experience was I was practicing one-to-one Chinese medicine in my practice. I found that there's so much energy and power we give away as people to others. And I am so passionate to train and leave the messages and the directions to my patients, to my clients, how they can change their own health and have their own health in their own hands. And so, honestly, I will tell you, in my practice, I would have people come in with different issues, health issues, and I would always give them feedback what they should do at home on their own. And at one point, yes, of course, a Chinese medicine, I'm not knocking it down. It helps tremendously and it can rebalance the body and the system back to norm. But what gets people to go into the disease or discomfort state is what we actually do with our lives on a daily basis. And so my training right now took me to the online training for this same reason. I started getting tired of having people come back with the same problems again to the office, after months and feeling great and not feeling great again. And I'm like, well, but did you do this? And did you do that? And so of course you're going to get back to the same problem again. So that actually led me to, with 2020 COVID-19, to go online and start teaching people how they can themselves empower themselves and their health and change the habits that have gotten them to be sick and not well. And so right now I'm very passionate about teaching and having clientele online, having groups online, and guiding how you can empower yourself with your own health journey.
So that is so beautiful. And I think it's the story for a lot of us that are holistic healthcare practitioners, stepping into unknown territory and kind of going with the flow of what the universe is offering us. And so could you speak to that for a moment about what discoveries you've made within yourself and also with respect to your gifts related to the environment around us? what is it within you that moved you during this time where we could potentially be very dragged down and depressed and just really thrown and ungrounded, because we are all worldwide. I believe it's the entire cosmos, but okay, worldwide, we'll stick to planet Earth. We have all been, the Schumann resonance has shifted, is shifting as we speak.
Totally.
This past week, for those of you who are watching live, drop a comment and in the thread and let us know, how have you been feeling? Do you have any questions for Irina or for me, or that we can both answer collectively? Irina is in Arlington, Virginia. I'm in Southwestern Pennsylvania. We all have roots and connections around the world. Do you have questions for us? What questions, if you're watching this on the replay or the podcast, what questions and ideas and issues come up for you? Are you one of the people over the past year who has been really upset and really thrown by being taken off of your routines? Or are you one of the people like Irina and myself who have been excited about what's going on? Not to say that everything's always beautiful, unsprayed, insecticide-free roses, but what is it in you? Really write some comments in the thread if you're watching this live or on the replay on Facebook, and just know, if you're listening to the podcast, what is it within you? And if you have been one of those people that's been kind of the gloomy doomy in the sadness, what one simple step can you recommend for us, Irina, that would bring us and move us into some other energy pattern? I know I just went on for a long time, but take whatever thread you'd like and go with it.
No, beautiful. It totally resonates what you're saying right now. I was as well cut off from the going to the practice and practicing. So, I was one of the same people, that my role of going into the 9 to 5 had shifted as well. And so, in all things that happened to us, and if you look back, and anyone, who's listening right now can relate to things that happened to them that at the moment you feel like it's earth-shattering and you'll never be able to get up. And, oh my God, how could it happen to me? Well, in this case, it's how could it happen to the whole universe? And then later, you come out and emerge almost like from the cocoon as a new butterfly, with new ideas and new plans and new possibilities. And, I can relate to it in my experience, even personal experience, going through a divorce or, losing my mom and, dealing with hospice and getting sick myself from even, being overly involved and feeling the pain, of your mother going through cancer and dying in your hands. And all those and breakups and, relationships and family fights, and children that have had issues growing up. All of those things that we experience, and we think that, oh my God, I'll never get out of it. And, I'll get stuck. It's like, if you look back, it's always a thread of some universal message that sends to you that you have to uncover and embrace yourself. And that's why I feel like very strongly in the communities, especially like I have a community of women that I support, bright women, smart women, but, we all get lost sometimes. And in my case, I just know so much about health and nutrition and mind and body connection and soul connection, because I've just been so passionate about it all my life, and, discovered it when I was very young. And I just went into meditation, for myself when I was locked out and I was in lock-in. And of course, the first thing that I did was, just out of my heart, I guess, wanting to be there to support people, is I went online. And I said, whoever is listening, I'm willing to do daily Yoga Nidra meditations. And Yoga Nidra, as I don't know if anybody knows about Yoga Nidra meditation. It's a very healing meditation that actually can reboot and rebalance our organ system if you do it daily. And so I went online and I started doing those Yoga Nidra nightly, and then people started listening and people started coming together and feeling, better, and having that community also, because everybody was so isolated, created that really new vibration of mind-like people. And I then started implementing strategies of how to boost your immune system, because during COVID-19 the first thing that goes is your immune system. So started implementing certain food cooking online and helping people to put their foods together to support the immune system. I started doing sugar detox groups, which we all know that sugar is a huge culprit to the immune system. It really suppresses the immune system. And then there's so many other things, including aging, for women. And so being a 62-year-old, as I am today, I myself had to turn my health around at one point. So I'm coming from all this experience of my own. Going to doctors does not resolve any information unless you are holistically trained. And we all know that medical doctors are essentials in our communities. But nobody knows that training of medical profession involves over 10 years of training, only 5 hours of nutrition. So of course they don't know. Of course they want to help, but they don't know how to help. So the only thing that they're trained in is in pharmaceuticals and how to identify and label, of course, all the diseases. So when I was going through Chinese medicine school training, in my master's degree program, we had to identify and match how does each disease, the name of the disease, matches to the frequency of what we can do to rebalance the body and the system. So for me, nutrition and food as medicine has the most calling, because I was able to heal myself. I had my own issues with my ulcers in my colon because of stress, of course, going through the disease of my mom who had cancer and trying to help her and diving deep to find out how to reverse her disease. And I today teach cancer clients, how to reverse the disease. And we can claim that we can do it, but we can't do it because it's really just the immune system that is suppressed, and inflammation markers that are rapid high in the system. Personally, feel that I'm so blessed with the knowledge that I've gotten and the healing that I got, that I know now I can pass to other women. And I love to support women, especially strong, powerful women like you and us that are ready to get out there on the platform and help the world. And so, bigger picture for me, of course, is another mission here, is that I'm very passionate about supporting our Mother Earth, which supports us in replay to what we're getting out of it. Agriculture, and I can go on and on and on, with that, the chemical, the toxins that we are consuming, the toxins that we're environmentally polluting Mother Earth. All of that goes into my practice of teaching women how to raise the vibration on living on this earth, because it gives us so much, as we have experienced it right now. And, the best practice is just to go outside and get your vitamin D, and get your bones stronger. And, there's so many practices that Mother Earth gave us that we forgot. And this is, I think, an awakening period that we all have to not forget, ever, ever.
You have just shared with us such a wealth of information, and there's so much to unpack there. I almost don't know where to begin, but I'm just going to ask you the next question, because I could tell stories. I know that you're a trained classical Chinese medicine person, so you really understand deeply from your master's degree, even though it's classical, the connection between plants and people. And that is a connection that has been so lost on so many of us in this culture. We're contemporaries. We're about the same age. And so my father, may he rest in peace, was a pharmacist. And so I grew up with the understanding, and he didn't believe in drugs unless absolutely necessary. And so I grew up with the understanding that plants, and he was, born in 1911, so he compounded the medicines, and he created from the herbs and from, he didn't practice homeopathy, but in the day, the early 1900s, there was not so much synthetic chemicalized things going on. There weren't so many of those things. So maybe speak to the idea of how you help people in terms of dietary intervention, or making people aware of the synthetics and the fillers and the things that are contained in our food that we may not even realize. And also, what does putting whole foods into your body have to do with keeping your microbiome, your inner ecosystem healthy? And also, how does that connect to our environment at large, the trees, the flowers, the plants? A chemicalized golf course lawn versus a natural biodiverse lawn that feeds the bees and the birds and the butterflies, and what that has to do with Roundup and the things that, we go to a restaurant and we don't even know what's in that food, but that's the least of it, because what has been put on the food in the processing of it, we're really interested in the intersection of environmentalism and health and wellness for people, planet, and the cosmos.
Absolutely, yes. Typical American diet, it's fast food. And we know in 50s it was transformed to that stage. And if we look at population today, state by state, it's a huge, fast progression of people overweight. And in magazines today, you see a lot of acceptance on that subject. And I feel very sad about that, because it's not that we shouldn't love ourselves. We should love ourselves as we are. And we are beautiful and wonderful and special, race that we exist here. But the idea of identifying big and beautiful and promoting big and beautiful, I don't know, somehow to me it talks that it talks to unhealthy body, number one. It calls to the autoimmune diseases. It calls into body is not able at this point to metabolize, and therefore it screams, and it screams by putting weight on, meaning that it can't process any longer. So we go into the organ system, and then, when you're young and you're overweight and you're beautiful, it's great. But when you become older, overweight, you could be beautiful, but what it creates disease in the body. And so our organs take a hit, by liver, for example, is meant to detox things, right? So when you overtax the liver, it loses its ability to do the detoxing process for the system, for our whole body. And so when you talk about microbiome, for example, our microbiome, we say, there's a very famous old saying that I will remember right now. They say that when you ask your heart, it will tell you, and feel with your stomach, or it's the other way around. It's either feel with your heart and ask your stomach. There's a connection there between mind and stomach connection, because there is nerves that are coming in and down into the stomach, into actual stomach, physically, that do correspond. So if the stomach is not happy and the microbiome is out of balance, we get fog in our brain, we get depression, we get anxieties. All of this is very connected. So, my big thing, if you look at all the nations in United States specifically, and what do diets scream, keto diet, they scream, don't eat rice, don't eat potatoes. And this is where all your minerals are. You go to China, you go to the China where there is no McDougall's and people eat rice all day long. They're skinny. Those people are skinny and healthy. They don't have any disease. They don't have any heart disease. Our culture here is quick food, processed food, drive-through food. And you're right, when you go to the restaurants, you don't even know what they put in the food. And if you think about our taste buds, we, in Chinese medicine, we have taste buds. There are 5 major taste buds in our system. And when I do my detox programs, people are amazed how in about 5 days, they can clear their taste buds after we eliminate certain foods out of the plate from daily intake. When it happens, your taste buds awake, and each taste bud is connected to your organ system, like liver and large intestine and stomach and lung and spleen. I mean, it's amazing how the clarity becomes so clear and your skin becomes better. You can sleep better, so the emotions awake. So there is this whole different process how we can reawake the system by changing what we eat and what we have on the plate. And, my biggest, of course, concern is about the Mother Earth, because while we are growing as population, of course, they have to produce more foods for us. So the stock is being fed with hormones, and as we age, we don't want those hormones to affect us, women, especially women. So there is so much infertility that goes on, and again, young ladies, young women are being fed if they have any issues with their cycles and having pain with their cycles, they put them on what? They put them on the
hormone replacement therapy.
Hormone replacement, but also for pregnancy, against pregnancy.
Birth control pills.
Birth control pills. Thank you. I was just zooming out. Yes, birth control pills. And what happens with that? It regulates the hormonal balance inside the system. So from early on, instead of figuring out what really causes those issues that can be so helped with natural steps, and those girls are being put on the birth control from a young age on, from high school on, and then they have infertility problems. And I'm having clients right now that I just have to detox the whole system, and it takes time because they've been on it for 10, 20 years in order to get pregnant today. And just the whole system is just so quick fix. And the same with fast food, quick fix. And what it does, it just pollutes our bodies and it pollutes our earth with pesticides, so that the GMOs of the grains can grow and withhold better and reproduce better, and therefore less loss. But what it really causes? Cancer. There've been findings right now more and more how the food affects our bodies and minds. So it's a whole cycle, and it's hard to put into it in few moments that I know we're going to be coming to the end right now of our conversation, but I would be happy to continue this conversation going forward. And, the awareness, I think the biggest thing is, by doing those groups that I do with clearing the body, detoxing the body, is the awareness comes in, and then slowly you could change the habits. And the restaurants that put the salt, sugar, and oil on everything that's made, of course, it's going to be more palatable. Even if it's dead, it's going to be more palatable. So, the whole idea is, of course, to cook more at home and to be very selective what you do eat out, as it really affects us and the world and the Mother Earth.
Well, it's so interesting. I'm looking at the comments on the Facebook thread right now. Somebody writes in, I've experienced a lot of benefits from the COVID lockdown. based on what you've been saying. And so do you want to speak to that for a moment?
Yes, absolutely. With especially like when I started doing the Yoga Nidra meditations, it's like quieting down the mind. It's like not being outside all the time, not being overstimulated all the time. You have time to kind of go within. You have time to reassess your life. You have time to reassess what is it that you really want to do while you're here on this earth. Like, what are the most important things that are in your life today? And so a lot of people have been going on Facebooks and finding their own tribes. I call my tribe holistic tribe, but it's really everybody finds their own ways. But I think the awareness and the vibrations of people wanting to get healthier and more mindful has started happening during this time. And so I believe I hate to say it, we lost a lot of people as well, but we lost a lot of people who have been fighting and not being healthy in their approach to health. And so I want to, as much as possible, to bring that awareness to people that they can impact their own health and that they can impact their own lives. And this is the time now.
Absolutely. I want to just affirm what you're saying. I feel that these moments have brought all of us into an increased awareness of what health and wellness really means to us. Some of us, and we won't mention any names, have been in this understanding for a long time, for decades perhaps, or perhaps we were born into it. Others of us have been following and falling into, for lack of a better way to say it, the trap of the popular food industry and addiction industry, really, with pharmaceuticals, with medicinals, with education, to be quite frank, that wasn't that classical education. Just like my classical ballet training was not the best for my body. And I've been in recovery from that training for my whole adult life. I'm now a yoga teacher, an embodied yoga teacher, which is the counterpoint of classical ballet, which was really designed to entertain the French court. And so we could take that analogy, and I'm going to invite you publicly, because I know you're going to say yes, but with the Journey Through Health and Wellness podcast, we have been doing series with some people. And so I would love to bring you back many times to continue on.
I'd be happy.
The different threads that we started here today, because we could go on for, a full hour or a week.
Totally.
any one of the different topics that we've brought up. But before we close, I would love for you to let us know, are you offering any workshops or courses, or how do we find you?
Yes, well, I have a Facebook group that I actually created during the COVID-19 2020, March 2020, and it's called Lose Your Last 10 Pounds. Holistic approach. So there is no diets, there is no pills, there is no over-exercise, and I do 14-day detox, and then I have 6 months programs that are group programs that consist of women, specifically women, because I love to teach women over 40, over 50, over 60, who are struggling with aging gracefully, having issues like high blood sugar, high cholesterol levels. Weight is a byproduct that comes in quite fast. In the matter of 10 days, people can lose 10 pounds if they follow step by step the teachings that I do in my programs. And so my next program is coming up. It's called Kick Your Sugar Habit. And it's a 14-day program that I will be offering in a group coaching with information that can be received is from my Lose Your 10 Pounds group, where I post all my notifications. But if anybody wants to reach out, they can definitely reach out to me. I am Irina Lotvin on Facebook, and you could DM me and I can send my calendar and we can set up an appointment and have a 20-minute free discovery session. And if we are a good fit, I can take you further on a journey. Yeah. Lose your last 10 pounds.
Lose your last 10 pounds. I have a feeling a little bird is telling me that my husband is still watching here because I asked him to jump on. What do you think, mein husband? What do you think of that lose your last 10 pounds? I'm just curious about what, I know that you see women, but in my imagination, if a man approached you and really wanted to be in one of your programs, you might bend the rules. And not that I'm implying that my husband would be one of those, but I think he has some sort of comment to make.
Oh, I'm curious. Well, what I do for the group coaching is I do primarily women, because women want to share much more freer, between themselves and support each other much more freer. But for men that have issues, health issues, like I have a couple of clients actually that have diabetes, pre-diabetes, diabetes type 2 that I have as a private client. So yes, for men that want to have my expertise for private coaching, absolutely, it's possible.
Okay, well, wait a minute. My husband just dropped a comment in there that says he has 20 pounds.
That's okay, because the 20 pounds, if we move the 10 pounds, the others will go.
Okay. And I wanted to thank my husband.
That's fun.
I wanted to thank my husband, Stan, for stepping in here and making some comments, and also Rachel Cooley and Carrie Harlan and Martha Panino. These are all great, amazing women, entrepreneurs who are just kind of really stepping out into this virtual world to help them.
Love it. And we need those women, and we need to support each other. So I find that, we who are this force, we need support too. We need ourselves to have some sort of support groups and coaches that can support us and lead us in different areas of our lives, including health, as we forget so freely about ourselves.
Yes, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here today.